Getting started with Azure, a buzzword, especially in the Microsoft community. What is Microsoft Azure? What are the different hosting models which are there in Azure? What are the services which are provided by the Azure platform? How to subscribe to Microsoft Azure? What is that you need actually to learn Microsoft Azure? What are the different portals? What is Azure Resource Group? And preparing your machine which has Visual Studio. Along with that, how to install Microsoft SDK. These are the topics which we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. So yes, Microsoft Azure introduction. Microsoft Azure, formerly called as Windows Azure. So yes, many places you will see still Azure is referred as Windows Azure. That was prior to 3rd April 2014. But from that date, it is now referred as Microsoft Azure. And it falls primarily under the category of platform as a service. Though it provides infrastructure as a service, it primarily falls under platform as a service. And as a developer, especially maybe a .NET developer, you will not have to worry about many things like networking, hardware management, provisioning servers, installing server operating systems. Those things are not at all our botheration. Microsoft Azure will provide us with all those things. So what is actually Microsoft Azure? Microsoft Azure is a comprehensive suite of cloud products that allow users to create enterprise class application without having to build their own infrastructure. Yes, if you are involved in an application which probably will use different types of application facilities, will be utilized by different types of devices, maybe a mobile device, maybe a desktop, maybe a web server. So we'll have middle tier, database tier, multiple tier architecture. For all these things, cloud is going to provide us with ready-made infrastructure. We don't have to build that infrastructure. But otherwise, easy understanding is you can think of Azure as a operating system for the data center of Microsoft Cloud. So I've been saying third-party vendors are responsible for providing us the infrastructure, providing us the data center. Now what is data center? Data center is basically lots of machines coming together, connecting to each other and providing features through virtualization. So Azure we can treat is an operating system which is managing all these for us. On top of the cloud created by Microsoft, Azure operating system provides us interface to interact with that cloud. And operating system is always an interface only. Now what does it take care of? Handles resource management, provisioning and monitoring. Basically, we can even see how our application is behaving at runtime, the performance monitoring. If it is crashing or it is running, we can see a lot of other parameters through the monitoring control panel which is provided to us. Complete application lifecycle management is taken care by the Azure. And because most of the things are taken care by the Azure operating system managing the Microsoft Cloud data centers, the developers can really concentrate more on business logic implementation. So for developers, Azure is a boon, especially Microsoft category of developers. Azure is a boon. You don't have to take care of many things which were otherwise under a purview of a developer. So why Azure? Has qualities of a well-architected application. Any well-architected application should be available always, should be reliable and should be maintainable. All the three qualities are necessary in every well-architected application and Azure provides them. Azure allows for immediate provisioning and deprovisioning. That means when you want, you bring it up. When you are not requiring it, you bring it down. and you're only paying for what you use. One of the popular model of usage in Azure is what you use model, pay as you go model we call it. You can quickly scale up and scale out, and also back down when the load subsides. In high traffic period, you can scale up the application or you scale out of the application. Now this scale up and scale out are two complicated terms which we have to understand. As scale up is all about increasing the computing power of a machine. Scale out is all about having multiple such parallel machines. So many a times if your application needs high computing power, the logic is pretty complicated, then you will have to increase the processor capability, increase the amount of RAM available. That feature is called as scale up. But if your application is getting bottlenecked because of network access, maybe database access or the file system access or remote services access, then we do not want one user to get blocked because of the other user execution on the server. So in such cases, we will have multiple virtual machines instances created. That feature is called as scale out. So Azure has beautiful scale up and scale out features, and at the same time it also gives you ability where you can scale down and scale in. That means we can bring down as the load subsides, and these things can be automatically done. Has a auto scaling feature where as per the CPU usage or as per the memory usage, as per the network bandwidth usage, automatically the scale up and scale down features can be configured. They can be configured on a regular basis, or maybe a recurring schedule can be created. Implies we can say that on Monday to Friday we have more traffic, so it should have one higher configuration, but maybe on Saturday and Sunday we will have less traffic, so the configuration goes down. The load balancing feature is built in, so that if at all we have got huge amount of traffic coming, automatically it can be diverted to multiple virtual machines and the load can get divided between them, and it's a built-in feature in Azure. Leveraging existing infrastructure in virtualization. Hybrid approach doesn't require long-term commitment or investment. Possibility is there that your organization has already invested huge in virtualization and you just do not want to get rid of it immediately. So you can have a hybrid model where you can extend your local network to Azure Virtual Network. Use Azure Virtual Network for public access and use your private network for secure data. In short, build a hybrid model, hybrid cloud model with Azure, and Azure provides that, unlike other service providers of cloud. Provides geo redundancy. Yes, your data is replicated, is mirrored across multiple locations in different geographical locations, in different data centers. So by chance if something goes wrong in one data center, your data and your application would still remain available through other data centers. Microsoft has already invested in all this redundancy, failover, caching, storage, authorization, and we don't have to take care of all these things. We can simply leverage it inexpensively. So if you are a startup organization and if you are developing applications mostly using Microsoft technologies, not necessary though, but if you are mostly using Microsoft technologies, the best option for you to use is Windows Azure, because it provides so many facilities for our applications. So what is that Azure provides us? It enables you to quickly create, build, deploy and manage web applications and services across global network of Microsoft data centers. See, what is important is it's not just being used for deployment. You can use Azure even at the time of creation and building it. And you have access to all the data centers of Microsoft. That's what Azure provides us. It provides us common building blocks for distributed applications. See, many times in distributed applications, we would like to have caching, we would like to have authentication authorization, we need to have a asynchronous queuing facility. So all these things which are common building blocks for distributed application development, Azure is going to provide us ready-made. Reliable queuing, simplified structured and unstructured storage with SQL, no SQL databases, both are provided by Azure. Application services like access control, caching, connectivity, these are all actually common building blocks which the applications need, and they are all part of Azure. The Azure provides us with all these things as services. That is most important. Everything comes to us as services. So now we know what is Azure. We understand why do we need Azure, and of course we understand what is Azure providing us. It is really interesting to know certain facts about Azure data centers. Azure data centers are available in 140 countries, and beauty is it is also there in China. China has got the most restricted policies for internet, but even there also Azure has spread its roots. So 140 countries of the world are already having Azure access, and it is supported in 10 different languages. Of course, English is the primary, but there are other languages also in which Azure is supported. And 24 currencies can be taken care of in the Azure. And it is backed by Microsoft $15 billion. Imagine the kind of investment which Microsoft has made into Azure. So you can firmly believe that yes, Microsoft is going to push Azure like anything, and it will conquer the world for all the application development and hosting. When I say 22 countries take care of 22 countries have connectivity with Azure, it does not, sorry, 140 countries have connectivity with Azure, it does not mean 140 data centers are there. 140 countries can connect to Azure, but we have around 22 regions where the data centers are already available. And when I am recording this, yes, there is already a plan of 5 additional regions, and this is going to grow and grow further. So different regions will provide connectivity to the countries which are available near that region. And also for the sake of resilience, basically mirroring, we'll have data available into multiple regions also. Many maintains global presence. Why so many regions? So that customers and partners meet their goal of providing applications close to their base. See, if I am in one country and if my customers are here, I don't want to host my application in the other part of the world, because so many hoppings will increase and the connectivity to the server will take time. Response time will be slow. But because so many regions are there, global presence of Microsoft is there, almost every country where IT is popular, infrastructure of information technology is used, can find a nearest region where the applications can be deployed, and the reach will be very fast. We have got LRS, called as local redundant storage, where the data is stored locally within the user's primary region. And there is also a GRS, globally redundant storage, where the data is stored in the primary region. Along with it, it is also replicated in a secondary region which is at least 250 miles away from the primary region. So this, just imagine how reliable Azure is in terms of providing facilities of redundancy. Azure in such kind of cases promises 99.95% of SLA. It says 99.95% of time the services will be up and running because of these LRS and GRS facilities only. Now what are the benefits? By now you should have already understood the benefits, but still developers don't have to create virtual machines or use remote desktop to log on to each and every one and install the applications. We don't have to do that. We just provision few clicks and automatically our application will get deployed on all the virtual machines which we have chosen for. The tools provided by Microsoft provision the virtual machine and then deploy and install the application on them. There is something called as cloud service which facilitates something like this. Azure provides the flexibility to quickly set up development and test configuration. These can be scripted, giving you the ability to spin up development and test environment, doing the testing and spin back down. See, basically what it means is Azure gives us a facility where I can have a very similar test configuration and development configuration. I will develop my application, move it into the development. From there I can move it into the test configuration. And when I find everything is all fine, from test configuration we can just click on a button and move it into production. This procedure is called as spin up. And during this process of spinning up, the site which is already in production will not be down, because there will be one by one upgradation of different virtual machines. So when one virtual machine is getting upgraded, automatically the traffic will be taken care by the other virtual machine, and gradually all of them will go up in over a period of time. This keeps the cost very low, maintenance, and is almost non-existent. You don't have to do any kind of maintenance. All is taken care by the Azure platform for us. Yes, with Azure you are going to see there will be high architectural options available. Lot of services what Azure provides us will ensure that you can develop highly performance and scalable and redundantly available applications. And not only for large, even small organizations can make use of the Azure. And the most important point is Azure is not just for .NET developers. Azure does support Java, Ruby, Node.js, PHP and Python. These are the technologies also which are supported by Azure. And a major part of Azure, rather a bigger part of Azure, is used for non-.NET applications today. I can say almost 1/3 of Azure today is used for non.NET applications. We can deploy a Linux operating system machine on a Azure virtual machine, and then probably deploy a Java or PHP application on top of it. So Azure is indeed used for that purpose also. And with Azure, we have got HTTP, HTTPS and TCP protocols commonly used. REST API is the best way we can communicate with Azure platform or Azure applications. So this diagram very clearly depicts how Azure is going to be used. We as a developer will use Azure as platform as a service. So let us say this is one virtual machine and this is another virtual machine. Onto one virtual machine we will have our deep database installed, managed by, let us say, SQL Server operating system, and on the other virtual machine we are going to have our application installed where the web server will be there, operating system is obviously there. See, this green shade is taken care by the Azure. The blue one is what we have to take care of. We have a built-in load balancer so that automatically traffic can be routed between different virtual machines, and this application can connect to this DBMS in a secured way. We can make this DBMS virtual machine not reachable from internet. We can configure that unreachable through internet but accessible to only other virtual machines within the network. So we deploy our database here, we deploy our application here, and others will start using these applications through internet. That's what is Azure platform as a service. Why platform? All the required operating system, load balancer, database, web server, all these multiple virtual machine instances are taken care by the Azure platform. So yes, very, very, very important. Azure is the thing happening, and going forward it will really conquer the world of cloud. You will see lots of companies have migrated to Azure. Thank you.